welcome yet again to another episode of Women in Business. We're always delighted to have you. Now, Women in Business is always looking for opportunities to bring out inspiring stories from women that are moving in their own niche. Whether it is a businesswoman, whether it is a startup, whether it is linkage to resources, whether it is a cooperative, whether it is someone else, another key stakeholders, we shall bring them here so that they can talk to us about what is happening and what can be done and how best for the woman in business to benefit. On this episode, we have an amazing woman. We have Mrs. BINTU JALIA. She is the chairperson, Uganda Savings and Credit Cooperative Union. She's also a former member of parliament for MASINDI district. She's a farmer, she's a leader, she's a businesswoman, and she's a mother as well. Welcome, Madam BINTU. We're very delighted to have you.
Thank you very much, Doreen, and our viewers. And I salute everyone who is viewing this program. What you've forgotten, Doreen, I'm a farmer. Apart from being a businesswoman, I'm also a farmer.
Now, let's get talking about some of these things. We want to find out, because we've been having an analysis during this time, what is the current status of women empowerment in MASINDI district? Give us the one-on-one so that we can find out what's happening actually. MASINDI, what's there?
The current status of the women in MASINDI, when you reflect where we were and where we are now, I would like to state that the women have improved in both economical activities, political representation, and their social well-being. And this is envisaged in the way the women are managing their businesses. The businesses which were predominantly male-dominated, today you'll find women also being part of those businesses and owning those businesses. The way you've seen MASINDI, women are in construction, women own properties, women are in retail shops, women are in wholesale shops, women are in sugarcane growing, and some of those ones used to be predominantly male-dominated activities. Women are in service provision, they are in catering service, they are in education service provision, they are both in health service. So we cannot underrate that achievement. But also women are in political leadership, right from the village level up to the national level. We have women participating in those political positions and leadership.
And it's so funny that you get to talk about this, because the assumption is that we are #1 champions of gender. We are our #1 champions. We should be talking about women. We should be helping our sisters, because if I am in need, so are you. That is the assumption, but it's also the truth. What can be done to jumpstart women to growth so as to access bigger investment? Because we get to see that sometimes women keep on the narrow. They are very comfortable sometimes in their small, in their small businesses. And whereas we know that development and any growth is phasal, it starts small and keeps growing big, we want to be able to jumpstart women to move on. Once you have achieved something, move on to the next, move on to the next. How can we jumpstart them to move on to something bigger?
Of course, economically, the trend is changing and we need to study it even more. Women are now the breadwinners of families, and we're wondering, even those ones who are married, the men tend to relegate what used to be predominantly their roles to provide food, to provide school fees. You'll be there, a woman will come and tell you, but I don't understand what has happened with my husband. He doesn't buy food, he doesn't pay school fees, but he's getting money. So men tend now to move backward and leave the women to run the families. And perhaps we may not blame them, because women, when we started the women emancipation, process, women have come out vividly to make sure that they participate in generating income for the families, in making sure that their families are up to date, and which has also made the men feel a bit relaxed that you can do it. If you can do it, why can't I also, first of all, relax and do our things? So we may not blame them, but we need to bring both now gender together, and so that they can be able to build a family, a strong family unit, so that we don't leave it entirely on one side. So that shows you that women are moving out of what used to be historically, how we used to be, to another level of women being able to perform and also to sustain the families. And in education, of course, women, those young girls, nowadays they challenge. If you went around in MASINDI, you'll find so many girls going to school, and some even riding bicycles to go to school. And previously we used to have only a boy child riding bicycles, rushing, going to school, and the girl child would wait to be carried. But now here in MASINDI, you'll find girl child also riding a bicycle of her own, carrying even a boy going to school. That shows you that women are coming out of that other cocoon where we used to be. And I think it shows the development of the area, how people are growing and how people have embraced the inclusivity part of it, especially in education sector. So that one I would do, that status I would say it's far better. But on small income generation, I want to focus on that very much. You know, women mainly are the ones who started in our area here. They are the ones who started the saving and the credit culture through their VSLAs, village saving groups. Mainly it was women, and they would save, keep on, multiplying, getting interest, and then at the end of the year, their savings would grow. You would find women sharing 8 million, 10 million, 20 million, and now the men have joined also the bandwagon. They have joined those women groups, and it is helping them to a greater extent. We are now encouraging them, now that those VSLA you started saving, let it be a circle, a saving and credit society, a well-established savings and credit society, because that means you will be able to borrow, lend each other, pay back, and keep and build even the capital of the circle, and it keeps on running, so that you avoid your properties being grabbed by these other institutions, financial institutions, which may come following you when you borrow. So most of these circles now, they are being run by women, and most of them are formed by women, but they have men on board, except what is missing is getting the young people now into them. That part of inclusivity is still lacking, having the young people appreciate that we can save. But we are encouraging them and telling them, even at school, they can start those small savings and credit groups, so that they can be able to help them also develop and nurture that culture of saving. By the time when they grow up and when they are retiring, they should be having some saving as a fallback, which will help them. So it's growing, the saving and credit culture is growing, and I would say that the status of women with the policies that the government have put in place, it's helping the women really to be able to grow even higher, which is really good. What is not all up to date is health. Of course, health, especially with the women, because we usually experience so many of these other hazards, I wouldn't even call them hazard. There are these health effects which women experience, especially there are diseases which may affect women, like cervical cancer, which brings down all the energies, even if, and the savings, because you have to continuously spend buying, medicating yourself, and at the end of the day, you end up also, you know, your health end up degenerating, and then you cannot be able to produce. And that's where the government needs to, according to me, to put in more focus, especially on immunizing the women, the girl child. I know some of these diseases, they may not be immunized against, but when you immunize the young girl child, then you're immunizing a woman of tomorrow. But also treatment and the services being nearer to those women, especially checking them, having pap smear near them. You bring the lower to the lowest level, like the parish level, where so many women can come and check, so that we try to mitigate some of those ones who would have gotten affected.
Uh-huh. And that is where we now get you. Because we have had so many stories about micromanaging. Women like to micromanage. They want to be everywhere. They want to be accountants. They want to be executive directors. They want to be the cook. They want to be the sweeper. That is it. But we also know the criteria for accessing bigger finance, accessing bigger investment partnerships, is that there are systems in place within most of our companies, women-led companies. How do we ensure, what can be done to jumpstart the woman, to enable her to understand and let go of micromanaging a business, and know that she has to, for her to grow, she has to be able to let go of some of these, delegate, hire, and actually give out the responsibility to other better functioning systems. How do we put these systems in place?
We are looking at all levels, because you cannot start with a higher level if you have not managed the resources at a lower level. I will give you a case scenario of a woman who has gone into sugarcane. A woman who has gone into sugarcane, of course, when you start growing sugarcane, you experience so many challenges. You have to borrow money to weed, you have to buy fertilizer, you have to borrow money to pay the workers, those who are going to harvest, the casual laborers. And at the end of the day, these women, when they get what they get from their sugarcane, some of them have gone ahead to buy even land. And land which you cannot really, even if you equated it to money, it may be even, some have got land which is equated to 400 million, 500 million. Some have got the land equated to 100 million, because an acre is at 8 million. So if an acre is at 8 million, if somebody has got 20 acres, so that's worth 60 million. So you cannot underscore that achievement if we equated it to that. And that's how women have managed to grow. Because it's not that a woman should go and borrow all of a sudden 400 million and has got nowhere to put it. No, she must have a plan. And what I've liked with the women, because they borrow with a purpose. It's not a matter of borrowing and spending it, and they borrow with a purpose. If they are to buy a tractor, they will borrow and buy a tractor. If they are borrowing to buy a truck, they will borrow and buy a truck. And if they are to borrow and reinvest into their investment, construction, or to manage the farm, they will borrow and manage the farm and be able to pay back. And that is happening. What is so unique here, all those women who have engaged in these businesses, the businesses are growing steadily. Suffice for these economic, crunches which is affecting us here and any other person from any other area. But those who borrow, they borrow with a purpose and reinvest into their business investments. Yeah, I was looking at these other investments at lower level because that's where most of our people are, at the lower level. Yeah, like a woman, I would like to look at a woman who is in business, like a small restaurant, kiosk, a woman who is baking chapati. That woman bakes chapati for a year. The second year, the woman is buying a plot. That is an achievement because she didn't have a plot. After a year, that woman is buying iron sheets and starts construction of a permanent building. To me, that's an achievement because she has an address, she has a residence, she's educating her child. These women who are borrowing and buying these bales of clothes, moving on trucks, going to sell, you find them inviting you to go and officiate at a graduation ceremony of their children. You know, a woman who is selling in a market, the son, the daughter is graduating with a degree, a master's. To me, that's an achievement. She has managed to educate the child. So to me, that is a bigger achievement than looking at this other one woman who may want to construct a big building, but is only one among 5. Those ones are there. But these ones, the majority who are busy in these other businesses and they can be able to take care of their families, to me, that's a big achievement which we need to encourage. I will look as if I'm a bit, I'm not gender sensitive, but which I want first of all to state that I am very gender sensitive. But if a woman can be able to compete and be able to access a facility without these other infringements like asking for a husband to append a land title, because me, I'm looking at women regardless of married or not married. So that's a pre-qualification of asking for your husband should append a signature. It's really, it differentiates women and it's very discriminative because women across the board are women. If I want to borrow, I should be able to come and borrow. If the interest rate is high for all categories across the board, then it's high. What the government can do to make sure that the interest rate they prevail over those ones who are giving out to such facilities, the interest rate is friendly to its citizens. I believe that will help the women to be able also to go out for those services, facilities, to be able to borrow and be able to grow their businesses, because that's it's very paramount for the growth of the development. If the interest is high, then people will abandon it. And partly, I want to believe that's why most people have gone into circles, because circles, you set your interest rate and it is favorable to you and you utilize the services that are available to you. That's why most people are running away from the banking sector, going into circles, because circles, you set your interest rate according to what you can absorb and then be able to utilize it. But that does not stop the government from putting in place policies which are very friendly to its citizens. Yeah, policies which will not make it hard for its citizens to be able to access certain services. If it's a policy, let's say if it's borrowing money and if money has come from, let's say, microfinance institution and the interest rate is high, then you should be able to tell microfinance, please let that interest rate be at least lower, so that for inclusivity purposes, everyone must be able to take it. And also we need to train, to capacity build, to train these women, because now we are looking at the women growing. Now a woman who has been in that small business of restaurant is in a comfortable zone. So for you to tell her that you need to open up multiple restaurants or even have outside catering, you know, without taking her through the training, mentorship, then she may not be able to manage it, manage all those ones. So we need to capacity build them, to mentor them to be able to grow into another level, not to leave them alone.
And it's good you have talked about the clinging on. We have for long, many have said that women we would like to micromanage. Yes? And
Yes.
And we don't want to let go, because naturally we are inclined to make sure that we micromanage, we analyze, we evaluate, we
Everything. You are, even when you are marketing, you are even the cashier. You are the one who is even in marketing, cashier, even supervising, and everything.
Yes. Yeah. But now in accessing finance, yes, the criteria demands that you basically have all these systems in place. You have a board, you have maybe another director, you have an accountant, you have this. Yes, and that is why I called it, how do you jump start them to move to
That's why we need to expose them. We need to expose them, to mentor them, that you can move from this level to this level, but also give them the necessary skills for them to be able to jumpstart from where they are to move to another level, but also to give them that opportunity to be able to share with those ones who have jump-started. Yeah, somebody may be, as I've stated, somebody may be feeling I'm in a comfortable zone. But if I get that experience, if I share with another woman who has made it from this level to another level, then I may be able to pick out those other skills and be able to identify those areas where I can also grow from where I've been. So we need to create that opportunity, that environment where a woman can share and learn more and be able to move away from where they have been up to another level. And then others join to those levels. And not only women, but also even the young people. Young people also are there, and we need to encourage them. Because if we look at a woman as per se, and the young people are left behind, then we shall leave a bigger population, and the continuity will not be achieved. Yeah.
And with that, let's take a very short break. We'll be right back after this message.